Hi everyone, welcome to Screams After Midnight, the horror movie podcast from the Male Fuzz Network. I'm Pierre and this is Tim.
You seem like you're getting like a very meditative, like yoga, deep breath kind of readiness.
If you're watching this podcast, you may be listening to it, but if you're watching it, uh, in 7 days' time, you're going to wish you'd never heard of at least one of these movies. Uh, yeah, we've covered all three Japanese Ring movies. And now for this episode, we're going to talk about both The Ring and The Ring 2, the US Ring movies. And yeah, that's the plan. Now, normally we do spoiler free first, then spoilers. I don't know how we're going to work it with the two movies, because, once you're in spoiler territory, you're kind of in spoiler territory at that point. So,
I mean, do we really have to worry about spoilers for these?
nah,
What are they, 10, 15-year-old movies?
I think because we're doing two, it's hard to do spoiler free when you're doing multiple movies, and because they are a bit older and they're fairly mainstream, I
Yeah.
imagine we can just go for it. So yeah,
Throw caution to the wind.
this is the 2002 uh, remake of The Ring, directed by Gore
Jeez, is it
Verbinski.
that early?
Yeah, directed by Gore Verbinski.
I was still in high school at that time. That was insane.
I had only just started high school at that time, Tim.
Wow.
Um, and then The Ring 2 came out in 2005, and that's actually directed by Hideo Nakata, who directed the original Ring, which is insane and baffling to me. Uh, so that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to talk about the first one first. Right, so we're going to talk
Okay.
about the Ring. And so spoilers for both of these, just get into it. I seen this a long time ago. Originally, I seen it way back, and like, maybe not as soon as it came out, but like maybe a year later,
Yeah.
when it was still kind of in the zeitgeist, it was still kind of newish.
Yeah, I cannot remember if I actually went to the theater to see it or I might have seen it like as soon as it came out on video. I don't remember, but it's fairly quick. I want to say.
Yeah. And at the time, my memories were kind of vague from it. Like
Mhm.
I remember liking it. But I remember when I saw the Japanese version, I'd like the Japanese version more. So it's interesting that now we just did the Japanese one earlier this year. We've done all three of them this year.
Yeah.
Maybe the first one was before the start of the year. I can't remember, but it was recent enough.
Yeah.
And so they're quite fairly fresh in my mind.
Mhm.
And now I've watched the American one, and I've never seen the second one, so obviously we're going to get to that later. But um, this movie has kind of dated for me.
Yeah. Um. It it really suffers from watching it again. Like.
That is a damning complaint. It
I
suffered from watching it again.
I just feel like if you would have asked me before we started like rewatching all these movies, even like the original Japanese versions, if you would have said like, oh, like what do you think about the Ring movies? I would have been like, oh, good, very good franchise, good. A few bumps here and there, but for the most part, pretty
Well,
good.
I think the
But
original Japanese one held up. Like I really enjoyed watching that again.
yeah, it's definitely the best out of everything.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
would
Yeah.
I would say that it when I watched it again, I'm like, oh, this is good. But then if I would like go through my like before I watch it again, going through my memory of what I thought I felt about it, I probably would have been like, it's great, it's amazing. And then
Interesting.
yeah,
Well, I think the original Japanese one holds up, but this one I feel like it's not terrible, right? It's not even necessarily bad, but there's a lot of things about it that I really like thought. I think first comparing it to the original, which I guess is going to be a lot of this first movie, just because we talked about the original, so now we're talking about the differences and we're talking about the quality differences and the plot differences,
Mhm.
and first and foremost, the atmosphere in this one, like compared to the Japanese one, is just so bland.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because of the setting.
It just
Like
it feels so sterile.
yeah, it's just it's just not really interesting. Like what was it? Is it Seattle that takes place, or is that the second one?
No, Seattle. Second one's San Francisco.
Okay, but yeah, it's just like not that there's anything wrong with Seattle, but I don't know, for some reason it just really wasn't that interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like there was an inherent creepiness in the Japanese version, and in this one it felt more like kind of like a forced creepiness. If that like kind
Yeah,
of makes sense.
it, it's weird because it opens with like the Japanese one. Does it opens with like the two teenager girls, and one of them's telling the other one about the tape, and then obviously one of them ends up dying from it. Because obviously, just in case you don't know what the plot of the ring is, you
Yeah.
watch a videotape that's creepy. It's got some various images on it, and then after you watch it, you get a phone call telling you you're going to die in 7 days, and then after 7 days you will die. And so it opens in a very similar way. But I have to say, see the moment where she dies, the moment where you know, whatever happens happens. The way the camera sort of cuts in and out of her screaming, or she's,
Mhm.
I think it's when sorry, it's not when she dies. It's when the other girl finds her.
And they like show her face.
It's when they show her
Like
face,
that.
and then
Yeah.
they quickly cut back to her face and do these quick cuts
Yeah.
to try and make it feel more intense, and it just came off as really dated and goofy to me.
Yeah. Um yeah, there's like a weird like early 2000s late 90s kind of feel to it, but I don't know, not in like a not like the like a cheesy 90s kind of way, but in a uh I can't even like very accurately describe it, but like I get what you're saying though, like the way it just was put together was
Yeah,
really
it doesn't have the same sense of.
charm.
I wasn't going to say charm. I was going to say it doesn't have the same sense of dread. It just the word I used the word sterile, and that really is the one that I keep coming back to because it feels so sterile in comparison.
Yeah.
Um, Naomi Watts is fine in the role. She's a good actress, but
Hmm.
her son's kind of awful. Uh, I,
He is abysmal. Uh,
I hated that kid.
and I don't necessarily think he was like a bad actor. I just hated like his personality. It's actually something that really annoys me in movies. Like I hate when they have like a little kid that's like, oh, like the kid is so like mature and responsible, and he refers to the parent by their first name, and he dresses nicely, and and like, oh, look at the grown up. They don't have it together, but the kid has it together. Like it's like
I
it's
don't
I don't
mind
know.
that when the kid's like 14,
Yeah.
because I buy that at like that age, give or take, you can start to be the one who's a bit more organized and start to like help the frantic parent. But the kid's like what, 8, 7?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got his suit on and he's put his mum's like funeral dress out for her and like what? Uh,
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's just like a character quirk. I don't that doesn't even bother me that much. My problem is just how bland and honestly kind of boring the movie is. The worst offender though in terms of characters is the ex husband. I think he is so ridiculously like oh because the original Japanese one like the ex husband character he seemed like an alright dude. He seemed kind of realistic. He seemed kind of normal.
Yes.
This dude, first of all, has like a ridiculously sized open floor apartment. Like this thing is
Mm.
basically a film set warehouse on its own,
Yeah.
huge. And but his character is so. You mentioned this felt so early 2000s, late 90s. This is
Mhm.
his character's what most of that is. It makes it feel like early 2000s.
Yeah.
His hair, the way he tries to sound cool, and the way he like, there's everything about him. Like they cast someone who feels like I don't know, like a hip 30-year-old, and it doesn't really work. It just it. Oh God,
Yeah,
he's
I
bad.
get that sense. Yeah, I wonder if it has to do with like I feel the like original Japanese version. I don't know if they had like a big budget, but it didn't feel like necessarily like super expensive or anything.
No, they
And
didn't. It was, relatively low budget.
so I wonder if that's kind of the charm because yeah, anytime you kind of take something like that and like really like glossy it up and like I mean I doubt this movie had like a gigantic budget, but just like everything looking cleaner and like I don't know, just trimmer and nicer and just having that little bit of polish on it, it kind of leads to like you said the blandness, the kind of
But to me,
sterileness of it.
that's not a problem with money though. Like if you,
Mm.
the right director, the right production designer, they would use their money. There's been plenty of big budget movies that feel like think of like Seven. That movie feels
Yeah,
so dark and grimy, and you're in this world almost feels like a different world. How dark and grimy the tone is in that movie, right?
yeah,
And that's get way more money than the Japanese Ring did.
that's true. Yeah,
It's not about money. It's about the people using it and what they do. And this movie just feels so lifeless in comparison because,
Uh,
like you said, everything feels so clean and there's so much of it's in like this broad daylight and it just I don't
and
know.
and I think like um I don't know if part of it too is like that we're doing this like like everything like kind of all together. So it's like, I mean, not like we watched every movie back to back, but it's like, yeah, like at this point, this would be our fourth Ring movie,
Yeah,
of the year. But it's like, what makes the movies kind of initially so interesting is kind of like the mystery of it. And I think that's kind of what suffers these movies when you rewatch them. It's like, you kind of, if you know the mystery, then it's kind of like, all right, well, we know what's gonna happen. Just get to it,
but
and
again, I don't think that's a problem if it's a good movie. It really isn't. I think the first one holds
if
up
it,
quite well because it's told
well,
in a
that's
engaging manner. This one,
well, yeah, that's why I think like if the like because there are like mystery movies that on rewatching even when you know what's gonna happen, it can still be enjoyable. But I feel like with this, um, it's just kind of a slog.
yeah,
I
that's
feel like a lot more bored.
Yeah, that's when you're just kind of waiting for the major things to happen.
Yeah,
Um,
like you're
and
like, oh yeah, the horse, and oh yeah, the
yeah, the horse. Okay, since we're on this subject, let's talk about the differences to the backstory.
okay,
Because obviously in the original, the mother of Sadako uh, is like part psychic, and she has this presentation, but then something bad happens, and she ends up committing suicide. And it's the dad who puts Sadako in the well, um, and kills her, or at least tries to kill her.
yeah,
And in this, it's the mother commits suicide because she's going mad because apparently Samara, which is the Sadako character in this one, uh, like
for
makes
some
people
reason
go
the name
crazy.
kind of
Yeah.
annoys me.
Like she makes people go crazy. She makes the horses go crazy.
Mhm.
Um, and I think another big problem with this is that Samara is nowhere near as creepy as Sadako was because like
Mhm.
the big mistake that comes for me is when it's when she watches the tape of like her being interviewed by like a psychiatrist in like the institute,
Oh yeah,
and she just comes off as this generic child actor who does not sound scary at all.
yeah. In this one, she just like seems more like. I think you even brought it up when we were watching the second one. Like she just kind of looks like a regular like little girl with long hair, but while like in the Japanese version, there's I don't. It seemed like there's much more of a menace to her. I don't know.
Yeah, there was more intrigue. There was more. It just never came across in this that she was even remotely creepy. Um,
Yeah.
they added all the stuff with the horses and I don't know. The whole thing's just a bit. Uh, just,
There's them going to see the dad, and he gets all crazy and kills himself, and
yeah.
uh, oh yeah, there really isn't. Trying to think like what else stands out.
There's not much. I mean, the only other thing it adds is that it tries to explain why the 7 days, because the original movie didn't have this.
Yeah, because she was down there for 7 days.
Yeah, that's how long she survived until she
Yeah,
dies without like whatever, without
and
food and
it's
stuff.
yeah. Wasn't it just like kind of? It was kind of like forced too. Like, wasn't it something like someone says like, you know, and maybe this was even in the second one too, because I forget because watching them so closely together. But like, yeah, at some point there's someone like, oh, that person down in a well or whatever. Like, how long could they survive that? And she's like 7 days. So yeah, all right.
I didn't mind that. I thought that was a
Yeah.
nice little addition. Like, it's the only thing of worth that I thought. Well, that kind of makes sense because
Mhm.
it's not like any of the other parts of the curse actually really make any much sense. Like, why a videotape? Why a videotape? Why seven
Right.
days? Why a phone call? Like, none of it's really it ties into anything in the backstory. So at least trying to connect the 7 days thing to something is at least kind of nice.
Yeah.
Uh, but it really just. And speaking of moments that aren't anywhere near as good, the scene where she actually comes out of the TV and kills the ex husband is
Yeah.
so bad in this one.
Yeah. It's funny because again, when I was trying to think of like when I first saw it, like I feel like that was like a big thing, like that people were kind of talking about when the movie came out, like oh my god, the ending is so crazy, and then yeah, when you rewatch it now, it feels like a little cheap, a little
Well,
cheesy.
they put this effect on her, and she looks like she's still like videotape as she's walking towards
Yeah,
them, and they do this thing where she jumps. She sort of like there's like a jump cut almost thing where she just
like
jumps to front of him,
it's
and it's like
yeah,
no, the original was scary because she moved really sort of in a deformed way towards him really slowly, like
yeah. It's kind of funny to me how something so simple can be like so like lost. Like when people are like, oh no, like don't you get that like what's so creepy about her is that she's it's not because she has like this weird effect to her or has these powers. It's like no, she's just like doing this kind of very like creepy, weird, disjointed kind of movement with this like weird kind of noise and I don't know.
it's funny actually. From
It's
memory, I thought this was one of the okay remakes, but watching it again, I'm like, no, this just feels as pointless as a lot of the other ones.
I mean, I I would say it's probably better than maybe a lot of remakes because at least it's not like laughably bad. Like I feel like most remakes are kind of annoying or frustrating. Well, I guess this was kind of annoying at times. At least this one though, I feel like it's more like the stuff that I don't like is more of it being maybe a little boring or like a little bland. Whereas I feel like other
You
remakes,
say
it's like
you say that
frustrating or something.
you say that as if boring and bland is like not a giant sin for a movie to be.
No, I mean it sucks, but like I don't know. I feel like there's stuff that is like much bigger, like fuck yous to the like audience or something.
Well, of course there is. It's not a Halloween remake. Come on, but
Yeah,
like I don't know. I was like when I was watching this again, I felt like so bored by it.
yeah,
Like it just really has nothing to really add to anything, and it really just makes me annoyed that people feel the need to remake stuff because groups of people will not watch movies with subtitles, and it's like no, just watch the fucking original, please.
yeah.
That's the ring. We'll save ratings till we've done both. I think. I don't have anything else to add for that one. So the ring two,
No.
the ring two,
Whew.
2005.
Where to begin?
Naomi Watts, I hope, got a big paycheck for this, because she did not take this for the meat of the role. I'm
No.
willing to bet you money. So unlike the first film, which has a mostly beat for beat remake of the original movie, obviously there's some things changed. The backstory is completely changed to the character, really, but mostly beat for beat. Similar ideas, same ending, same
Yeah.
opening, so on. The Ring 2 is not a remake of the Japanese Ring 2, despite the fact that the director of the Ring 2, the American one, is the Japanese director of the first two Ring movies from Japan,
Yeah.
and it's absolute gobshite.
Yeah.
The Ring remake was
It's
bland. This is fucking atrocious.
yeah. This is pretty terrible.
And not only is it bad, it commits an even bigger sin beyond just being a bad movie in the franchise.
CGI deer.
No, no, no. I mean that's bad. Don't get me wrong, but uh, the main problem I have with this is that it's not really a Ring movie.
Okay.
What did I say at the start of this episode? I explained the plot of the Ring.
Right.
The Ring movie is a videotape. When you watch it, you get a phone call and you're going to die in 7 days. That is the plot of a movie about the Ring. This movie is about Samara slowly possessing Naomi Watts' child, so that she can be with her because she's the one person who came looking for her, and that's your plot of this movie. And increasingly, Naomi Watts looks like a complete nut job and possibly child abuser in San Francisco, where she's now living. And oh dear, it starts with a potential Ring thing happening, but Naomi Watts just finds the tape and destroys it, and
And as it destroys, it like screams.
it screams, yes. And you get some really, really shit moments where Samara is just standing behind people in mirrors for no reason.
The thing that really annoys me is I kind of like it when there's like rules to, I don't know, like a ghost or a demon or a curse or whatever. Like I find that interesting because it's like, oh, like there are these very clear specific rules. We have to find out how to break them. And that's kind of what you get like in the first movie. But in this it's just like, oh, there are no rules. I guess she can just kind of possess people that haven't, watched the tape or whatever. She can kind of just come and go as she pleases, you know.
Yeah, there's no rules to anything. Stuff just happens all of a sudden. Like in the first movie, this never happened, but in this one, apparently lots of water pours out of the TV as
I
she's coming out of it. That's a
There's this like
thing.
whole water motif as if it's like, hey, like remember how important water was in the first ones? Like, not really. Like, oh well, get ready because it is in
Yeah.
here.
There's the whole scene where the water, like the bathtub's like left on and it's overrunning, but then the water all lifts like gravity flips for just the water, and it all goes up to the
Yeah.
ceiling. Like there's that weird scene, and you mentioned the deer. Yeah, there's a scene where they're in the car and they get attacked by an army of deer for no reason.
And it seems like they try to explain it later when they're in Samara's parents' house and they're in the basement and you just see all these like deer antlers. So like I guess was that them trying to explain why the deer
Well, I don't
got
know.
so angry?
The first movie had horses. This one's got deers. That's that's my explanation for that. I don't know.
The
I
kid is just as annoying in this one.
the kid's terrible in this. Oh my
At least in like
god.
the first one, I feel like at least he wasn't as much of a focus,
No, because he
so it
wasn't
was
actually in
as
it that
bad.
much. He was only really
Yeah,
there for the introduction of him, and once he watched the tape, he was off with the grandparent or whatever. Well, the parents went and dealt with everything, so he wasn't like a huge factor. In this one, he's like there for like 80% of the movie.
yeah. Jeez. Um.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm having trouble remembering what like a lot of the middle of this was. Lots of weird shit just happened for no reason.
See, she tracks like her birth mother down, who's like in an insane asylum.
Oh yeah, Samara's birth mother.
Uh,
Yeah,
I feel like there's like a lot of weird, like franchise tropes in this movie. Like,
they always
you
try
know,
to add on more to the backstory that goes further
yeah,
back. Yeah.
but yeah, there's always like in like Nightmare and Friday 13th and stuff. Like there's like always one movie where the villain tries to possess the body of a living person. Um, I feel like tracking someone down to the mental institution. Um, that kind of shit.
Yeah, it's all sort of stuff you've seen before. Uh, there's a scene where they go to like a carnival, and like she lets them go off to just do whatever, but then within like a minute she starts panicking and starts running around screaming for him.
Yeah,
Like I don't.
it's really weird. I like there's a lot like not the body count isn't that high in this movie, but like everyone that does die is like either dies around like Naomi Watts or is in some way like kind of like involved in her, and it's like how like shitty are the police that they're not
Yeah,
like tracking this lady down like to be
yeah.
like
It's actually a valid point that when the movie ends, and we've not talked about what the like climax is, but after the climax happens, like, all right, she's safe. She saved her son. Happy days. And then like, wait a minute. You're fading to credits when, as far as the police in the town are concerned, you're at the center of like 4 or 5 deaths.
yeah.
You are the prime suspect. This is not a happy ending. You're fucked.
No. Yeah.
But they don't treat it like that because she's beat the ghost and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she basically, like, Naomi Watts has to pretend. Once she knows that Samara's possessed her son,
Mhm.
she pretends to go along with it and like make her peanut butter jelly sandwiches and watches TV with him/her. I don't know what you say, him or her, like, because it's
Yeah.
him, but he's possessed with a her. So
And then it's kind of weird because it's like I guess she or whatever or she still has powers when she's inside his body, but
yes, because she kills the editor guy who like
oh yeah.
was challenging him because Naomi Watts finds him and his face is all ringified.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
But
calling it, ringified.
but yeah, it's kind of weird to be like, all right, so basically for all intents and purposes, this kid is now Samara, and what does she do? She just kind of sits down and watches TV and eats a sandwich. It's like, oh,
Oh, you put it like that.
terrifying.
She,
I'm
yeah,
finally back in the real world. Now I can just kind of veg out.
yeah. This is my problem. This is a classic sense of a sequel where they had zero fucking idea what a sequel to The Ring should be. Not that the Japanese like team had an idea either, because they didn't. That movie was
Yeah.
really pointless and weird. But this one just feels like just weird things after weird things just keep happening. None of it feels like it's part of a Ring movie.
No.
Except at the start when it's the boyfriend trying to force the girl to watch it so that he'll survive.
Oh yeah.
But she doesn't because she covers her eyes and he gets ringified.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
that was kind of weird.
Who was the actress? The teenage girl was actually the actress who plays Sharon Carter in Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Civil War. And she's like a teenager in this. That was kind of amusing because obviously she's older now, and that's where I know her from. But yeah,
And
so Naomi Watts defeats Samara by
a tiny child.
going in to the TV. And I get what they're thinking here. They're thinking, let's mirror the end of the first movie where Samara came out of the TV and
Yeah.
now we're going to go in. So despite the fact that the plot is completely different from the Japanese Ring 2, they both end, more or less, with the mother character in the well with Samara. That happens twice. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so she's holding the body or whatever, and no, that's the first movie. What did she do at the bottom of the well? I can't remember.
Well, all right, so she gets sucked into the TV,
Yeah, she goes in the
and
TV. Yeah.
and she like immediately falls into the well, and she basically looks up and she notices that like the top of the well is like slightly ajar. So she says something like, "She always has a way to get out." And then like she's like, "Oh, all I have
Yeah.
to do is cover the top, and she can't escape anymore."
Yeah. But
It's like,
what are the rules here? You're in a ghost dimension. Like,
yeah, it's like she's like this all powerful thing, but the one thing that's stopping her is that You know,
Yeah.
if you just cover the hole.
And then Naomi Watts goes to the same cliff where the mum committed suicide in this ghost dimension and jumps off it to come back through the TV.
Yeah. Although you are skipping over maybe the best line of the movie,
Oh yeah, yeah. Do tell, Tom. Do
as
tell.
so as she's like climbing up the wall to escape, Samara starts running up after in full CGI glory. Um, that was CGI, wasn't when she's like
Oh yeah,
running
definitely.
over. Yeah, it was like again, kind of like when you're talking about like in the first one, how it's just like so like not creepy when she comes out of the TV. This was like I feel like a little more on the better path because at least she's moving kind of weird and creepy, but it was like CGI, so it was like very uh not enticing. But anyway, she's chasing her up, but Naomi Watts like escapes and she's about to cover up the well, and as she does, she says like Samara says like mommy or something, and then she goes, I'm not your fucking mommy. Which like I guess is supposed to when people saw it in the theaters, I guess they were supposed to stand up and go like, yeah, like that's probably supposed to be her like yippee ki motherfucker, but um, I don't think it really comes across as that iconic.
Although you did just remind me of actually one of the weirdest moments in the movie.
Yeah.
Basically, the kid needs to go for the bath. We mentioned the whole water thing when the water rises up, but as he's going for the bath, he's getting kind of like nervous, and
Oh
she
yeah.
and she leans down and says, "Do you want me to come in with you?" And I'm like, he's like, "Hey, what the
Yeah.
fuck?"
Yeah, it was a little weird.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if Naomi Watts wants to ask me if she wants to get in the bath with me, yeah, I'll say yeah, sure. But this is weird and creepy. God.
Yeah, you definitely don't want like the creepiest part of your movie to come from like the hero.
Yeah, the awkward like thing that doesn't quite make sense, whereas all this
Yeah.
actual supposed scary shit is just boring as hell. And that's my like. Don't get me wrong. Like I didn't really enjoy watching the first one again, but this second one is like proper boring. Like I was leaning back and almost going to sleep
Yeah.
at certain points. It was just tedious to get through.
That does remind me of something I thought was kind of funny. And like I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but um yeah, like so Samara is possessing, the young boy Aiden's body and his weakness is water, so like they're trying to, you know, get him in like the bathtub and stuff. And there's this scene where like she's trying to like lower him in the bathtub and like he's like freaking out like, oh no, like what are you doing, and like she's basically like drowning him in the
Yeah,
bath.
that's what
And
happens before she goes into the TV.
yeah,
She has to get Samara to leave his body, which she does by effectively killing him.
but like while she's doing this, the the editor who is like letting him stay at his house and like not really asking a lot of questions even though all this weird shit's going on, he just sees her doing this and he's like, Rachel, no, what are you doing? But it is kind of weird because he is basically seeing this mom drown her
Yeah.
child.
Do you know the best part of this movie
And he
was
just stands there, doesn't do anything.
is the kid because the kid keeps calling her Rachel. In fact, one of the reasons she knows he's possessed is that he actually calls her mummy. Like that's how she
Yeah.
knows for sure. Uh, but he keeps calling her Rachel, and legitimately the thing that gave me the most fun out of the entire movie was I started screaming Rachel like Batman
uh,
did in Batman Begins. That was my every time he said Rachel, I was just like Rachel, Rachel.
Also, I loved how easy it was for her to do pretty much anything. Like, um, at one point she just kind of sneaks into the back of an ambulance. She like kind of just sneaks into like a police station to question a witness.
Mm-hmm.
She like there's like I feel like no one's ever guarding anything in this town.
No, I agree. And how easy it is to just stop Samara, apparently. Just
Yeah.
all of it feels really bizarrely easy. It's very very odd. I don't know. This is the an example of a just ridiculous sequel where they had no idea what to do, and they just did this.
It is super baffling to me that this was in theaters and that they got so much of like, well, I guess it's just like one or two people, but like they got the original cast to return because like this feels so much like, it would have been a straight to DVD sequel
Yeah, it
with,
feels direct to video. It really does.
yeah, with, probably would have gotten like, I don't know, some low rent version of, Naomi Watts or whatever. Kid probably would have still done it, but
The kid's career's not going anywhere. It's
yeah.
fine. Uh, yeah, it feels the plot, everything about it, along the fact that you've got Naomi Watts in it, feels like
Mhm.
some shitty direct-to-video sequel. That's just like the script was shot out in an afternoon,
Yeah.
over lunch. Yeah, we'll just do this, and then the kid will do this, and then the mom will do this, and there you go, boom, done. I
Like
really,
if it feels like they went straight to like, if you have like a big horror franchise and like, usually starts to get shittier like around like five or six or something, it feels like they just skipped like right to, the ninth movie.
uh, and with all that said, Rings, the third movie in the franchise, well, the American side of the franchise, is coming out later this year. It seems to be kind of a reboot, which is good. I think they
Yeah.
need to reboot it. I don't see the point in continuing with the same characters. Honestly, I think that's the biggest pitfall that both this and the Japanese one fall under. Is there is
Yeah.
no reason to go back to the same characters. Just as much as it may be a retread, just doing a similar thing with different characters who don't know about it yet, it would at least be more. It wouldn't be as batshit stupid than the
Yeah.
crazy shit they do to try and pull the same like mom and son back into the plot.
Yeah. And like it's not like you have like a really badass,
Oh, that reminds me. The start of the movie, they established. I mentioned this, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, right? And he's trying to show her the tape so that he'll
Mhm.
survive, right?
Yeah.
In the first movie, in the American version, they established that to survive you have to copy the tape, right?
All
But
right.
they never actually establish that you have to show it to someone. That's in the Japanese version. The original Japanese one, they specifically had to show it to someone, and
Mhm.
they had the son show it to their grandfather, who was like already pretty old, and he was happy to sacrifice himself for the kid, right? And
Mhm.
that gave it like a sort of really sort of bittersweet, dark, but they survived kind of ending. Didn't
Yeah.
have that in the American one. Whatever, fair enough. You wanted this to be slightly happier, fine. But they established at the start of this that that's actually still true. That you have to show it to someone to
Mhm.
survive. Okay, fine. You're giving us this information. That's cool. But then they never actually tell us who they had the kid show it to survive. Because he survived. He's still around. So
Yeah.
Naomi Watts obviously got him to show it to someone. But who? And
That's a bit.
there's never any explanation. I think there's one line where she says, uh, "We did nothing wrong,"
Yeah.
implying there's some guilt. But surely actually exploring that they might have killed someone would be an interesting plot line. I don't know if you are going to stick with those
that
characters.
that would be interesting. Or even if they like somehow like, they get all like twisted and like they start like trying to find like bad evil people to show the tape to or something that I don't know. Was that before you had mentioned that you had found a plot hole in the first movie? Was that it? Or
Oh no! It was a plot hole. Oh yeah. So she, yeah, Naomi Watts. Um, the reason why she notices that the kid at the end, or she realizes that the thing's been lifted, is
Mhm.
there's like signs. I'm forgetting what they are now off the top of my head, but basically she copies the tape
Mhm.
and cures herself quite early in the movie, right?
Mhm.
Relatively speaking. But after she does that, she still suffers some of the symptoms of like being on the death list, as it were,
Oh, okay.
because some of the other things. What is it? She notices something about the husband later on.
Was it like taking pictures and seeing the
It
faces
wasn't
all
that one specifically. There was
stuff?
other ones. I think it was the. Was it feeling ill or lighthearted? I can't remember. I
Yeah.
can't remember. I only watched it like 3 days ago, and I forgot about the fucking like symptoms were. But there was like a couple of like bodily things, or was it hearing something? I can't remember now. That's just really annoying me. But there was like there was a couple of telltale signs that weren't the pictures. It was other things, but they still
Okay.
happened to her after she would have been
Oh,
cured because she'd already like copied it and shown it to someone.
interesting. I didn't pick up on that.
Uh,
But that's a good point though, because yeah, she does do it kind of early on.
she does, but she still gets like visions and stuff, and still
Yeah.
like there's still a lot of things that happen that shouldn't because she's technically cured already.
Yeah.
Um,
Huh.
I don't know. And I think that's a problem that was introduced in the American one because I don't think in the Japanese one, other than the photos and the video thing, I don't think it
Yeah.
was something that like would have kept coming up that there's that mistake to be made. Whereas with the American one, I distinctly like shouted out like, "Wait a minute! Like that shouldn't have been happening then if she was already cured." Like I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
but no, I can't remember exactly what
Uh,
the symptoms were. It was actually annoying me now that I can't remember that. I should have thought for bringing it up. Had you not brought that up, I wouldn't have brought it up, and now I sound like a fool. You've made me look like a right fool, Tim. To hell with
uh,
you.
well,
Well, what?
I don't know. It's kind of depressing to talk about, honestly. I kind of wish that, like, I don't know. I feel like if I didn't, like, rewatch all these movies, I would still have nice memories of them in my head.
Hey, I've still got nice memories of the first one, the original Japanese one. That is.
Yeah.
Um, I
Definitely the best. That's
oh,
without a
definitely
doubt.
best.
Yeah.
I think the first American one is probably better than both of the Japanese sequels.
Yeah.
Uh, but The Ring 2, the American one, is easily the worst of the five, I think.
Yeah, it's probably like Ringu, The Ring, then Ringu 2, Ringu 0, and then Ring 2. I
Yeah,
would say
so
it's
who knows where Rings will fit in, or who knows where Sadako versus Kayako will fit in.
that at least that if that's just like a
Batshit
batshit
insane,
insane,
yeah. It's worth mentioning, of course, that because of that movie, we will also be doing all the Grudge movies over the next while. Not too close together, but we'll spread them out.
Okay.
And at least, honestly, we'll probably end up doing it in just two chunks. We'll probably just do one episode on the two Japanese ones and then one on the three American ones. Yeah, there's three American Grudge movies, believe it or not. You're dreading that week, aren't
That's
you,
that.
Tim? You're like, God, three American Grudge. Well, actually, not to play my hand early, but I actually do like the first one. But I never seen two or
I
three, so
I will leave my opinion a mystery for now.
you can't remember, can you?
Hmm? That's what you think. Actually, no, I watched the both the first Japanese and the first American one last October. So
Okay, cool.
still relatively fresh. The sequels, that's going to be a big question mark.
Yeah, I've not seen the American sequels. I've seen both of the Japanese ones. So you've got that to look
Yeah.
forward to. But that's in the coming months because now we have biscuits out of 10 for both movies. So do Ring, then do Ring 2, Tim. What are you giving them?
Okay. Okay. First ring's kind of hard. I was thinking like a 6. Might go down to like a 5.5.
Mm,
I think I'll do 5.5 for ring, and then I was thinking maybe like a 4 for ring 2.
okay.
Maybe 3.5. I don't know.
I
That's
will
hard.
I will see your 5.5 biscuits for the
Mm.
Ring. I agree with that score.
Okay.
For the Ring 2, I think you're being far too generous. I'm going like a 2. Uh,
2, really?
yeah, that I think I don't think there was anything redeeming about that movie.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe even
Yeah,
I may even go down as low as a 1.5. It's not getting a 1 because a 1's like Birdemic bad. So, uh, but
well,
I think it's just thoroughly unlikable and thoroughly uninteresting. So nah, 2 out of 10 at most.
yeah, I might have to go down to like a maybe like a 3. There was a few things that were like I liked in kind of a dumb way. Like there's nothing about it that was legitimately good.
Yeah, you liked
But
I'm Not Your Fucking Mother. You like that?
yeah, like I like that. The CGI deer again, so stupid that it's like,
Yeah, well, to be
kind of
fair, I will give it that. We did start laughing a lot during that scene.
yeah.
It was funny. I'll give it that. It wasn't meant to be funny, but it was funny.
Yeah. So there's yeah, I'll leave it at like a I'll give it I'll be generous and give it a 3.5 for some like decent, so bad, dumb stuff that's kind of enjoyable. But
All
yeah.
right. Well, I guess that brings an end to episode 62 of Screams After Midnight. I, of course, have been Peter, your lovable Scottish rogue, and Tim over there has been your laughable American jester.
Okay.
I don't know. Um, okay, so yeah, of course, let us know what you thought of the movies, guys. And do you know, I realise we may get some flack for this episode, Tim.
I don't
Because
give a
not for the
fuck.
Ring 2. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anyone's going to argue on the Ring 2. But I feel like there is a fan base for the first Ring movie.
For anyone who like is super like disagrees and is into the ring, let us know when the last time you watched it was.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
When was
If
the
it's
last time you
been
watched it? Yeah.
if it's been more than like 3 or 4 years, watch it again and then
And also,
let us know.
have you seen the original
Right.
Japanese Ring? That's another important question.
Yeah.
Answer those two questions, and if the answer to them is that you haven't seen the original or it's been more than a few years, I would.
Then we will eat a biscuit on air.
Yeah, sure. I'll eat multiple biscuits on here if you want. That's fine. I can go and get a biscuit right now, I think. No, I can't. I don't have any. But I'll make sure there's some biscuits in for potential, crow eating, as it were.
For the 100th episode, rapidly approaching.
Rapidly approaching, indeed. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. Which you can do so in the comments below on YouTube, or you can tweet at us at mailed_fuzz, or email us even at mailedfuzz@gmail.com.
Is anyone checking the email?
Oh yeah, I've got it linked to, like, I have it forward to my personal email, so that
Okay.
whenever anything gets sent, I see it in my personal emails. So it'll never be missed. Don't worry, Tim.
All right. Can you give me the password?
I don't have to give you a password. I can just forward it to you.
Well, what if I want the password?
We'll discuss this off air, Tim. I don't think you have to air our dirty laundry on the show. Why would you want the password?
Maybe there are certain websites that I need an email to sign up for.
Oh god. Yeah, you're not getting that password.
We'll see.
I feel like certain intelligence agencies might come chapping at the doors to ask about things if you get a hold of that password. Yeah, you can of course find us in other places. Tim, where can people find you?
Social media stuff is at Tim Vargulish, and you can check out my comic book stuff at facebook.com/goatmancomics. And I would just like to give a little shout out to this great country of mine, America, who is celebrating its birthday on Monday.
I didn't clear that.
Well, no, we declared our independence from you like 200 years ago, so.
I didn't. I... Stupid additional holidays. You know what? You Americans, the amount of like random single little day holidays you have got sprinkled throughout the year that everyone else doesn't have, it's ridiculous.
Pete, don't ruin this for me. I get Monday off, and I plan on enjoying it.
Okay, well, I'm happy you get a day off work, Tim.
Although knowing you're probably gonna make me watch like Pocahontas Revenge or some dumb movie for next week.
Oh, I think we'll do a special like 5 hour edition, and we do the entire franchise of like, I don't know, Godzilla, all 28 Godzilla movies. There you
Yeah,
go. That's next week's episode. God. No, I don't have time to do anything like that because I have lots of other shows to do, such as the regular movie stuff with Matt on 1.21 gigawatts, or the TV stuff and Almost Cancelled, or even the DC Comics podcast, Comics from the Multiverse, which we do every week. And also, check out our friends at Rose Reviews. They do written content, they do opinion pieces and reviews on movies, on albums, on concerts, occasionally on video games, all that kind of stuff. So there'll be a link to them in the description, so you can do that if you want. Tim will not be getting their password either, just for reference.
Oh, I'm coming for you, Ronan. You and your reviews.
Dear, it has been a delirious episode, and oddly a lot more negative than I thought. It's been a depressing double feature of episodes this week because neither of them were overly positive,
Yes.
which is a shame. I like to be positive, and I just and if you do like the American Ring movie, there are no judgments from us. It's fine. Like you like what you like, but I just don't give us too much hate mail for it, please.
No, I can legitimately like see some people liking it. But yeah.
Aye, filthy casuals.
Yeah. There's no way an actual horror fan would dare put their name to this.
Yeah, here's filthy casuals. That's what you are. You're filthy casual. Nah, we're just joking. You can like The Ring. It's fine.
Yeah,
Trust me.
humor.
I sometimes I seriously like. I'll see people post like the top 10 horror movies, and like half of the entries make me go, "What the fuck are you on?" So
Yeah,
horror's it's divisive, and me and Tim here, we overlap in a lot of ways with our horror taste. Not completely. He likes some really shit,
right.
fantasy horror movies that I don't care for, and
Yeah, says the guy who fucking blows a load every time he sees like Blood Butcher 12. Come on.
you couldn't have even thought of an actual example. Yeah, they just throw some random words at me with a number at the end.
Although if there was a movie called Blood Butcher, you would watch it. Come on.
Sure.
I would.
Well, yeah. So shut up. Hypocrite. Alright, I think that'll wrap up Screams After Midnight. We've actually spent an extra 5 minutes at the end there just rambling about nothing. So, thank
You're
you
welcome.
to everyone who's been watching or listening. It has always been a pleasure. Keep watching scary movies, guys. Don't shit in a well.